Hey, good morning. This is Rich from Tennessee Homestead. And I'm just banging my head on the light. How the heck are you today? I made this chat yesterday, and my battery went dead on the phone. Somewhere in about the first 20% of the video, it made no noise, just quit recording. And so I sat here rattling on, and it didn't record any of it. So here it is Tuesday morning, and I'm trying again. Monday was a very busy day for me. Anyway, if you haven't watched the video on GMOs versus common sense, you might want to go back to that, because some of what I'm going to be talking about today is covered in that, and it is good news. But you might want to look at that first, and at least you'll know the context of what I'm talking about. Or not. So, let's get on with that. I had done that tape for the GMO thing about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, and was really deciding whether to put it out there or not, mainly because I was concerned that it would come off as me being some sort of expert on GMOs, and that I'm not. But I finally decided, it's something to get folks to think about a little bit, and I went ahead and put it up. And surprisingly, and one of the reasons I went ahead and put it up, is I had seen, I subscribe to a trade magazine, and it's not, it's an agriculture trade magazine, but it doesn't deal with, to the farmer. It is to the companies that service agriculture, co-ops and things of this nature. So it helps you keep track of some of the trends that will be coming down the pike. And I subscribed to it. And in there I found a very interesting article. They were talking about the new tech-savvy farmers. And they were saying that, the average farmer today is not the old man with a pitchfork kind of thing who's done things the same way for the last 50 years. But these are more tech-savvy businessmen. It's fact. If you're not, you're going to have problems. Okay? It's making a living off a farm. You got to be pretty much on your game, because it's constantly changing, constantly interesting. You better stay on top of things. But in that article, they were talking about GMO seed. And they were listing out many of the cons that the new farmers are finding. When viewing pros and cons, they were looking at the cons that the farmers were finding with running the BTC. And here's a few of them. One, you were supposed to get away from using insecticides. Indeed, it didn't. You end up still running insecticides because Mother Nature is going to throw that curve right at Monsanto and go, you think this is going to kill all the bugs? Look at this new strand we came up with. Same thing with weeds. They are supposed to have these disease-resistant GMOs and drought-resistant and, resistant to everything. You should be able to just take a handful of it, throw it in the field, and have a bumper crop. The fact is, that's not the way Mother Nature is going to allow it to take place. And so these gentlemen were looking at the outrageous increases in the price of this stuff and coupling that with the added input costs. Now, when I talk about input costs, for you that aren't involved in farming, that is the cost of your seed, your fertilizers, your insecticides, blah, blah, blah. They were saying that they had to go back to the insecticides, go back to the herbicides, and those costs were steadily increasing with the BTC. Plus, coupled with that, there has become a market out there for non-GMO seed or non-GMO product. Like with us, our supplier, when we first started using him, did not carry any feeds that he could say were GMO free. Put him back into the market looking. He found an avenue to supply, brought it in, and now he's marketing non-GMO feeds to a lot of the local farmers, doing a pretty good business with it. So this sector is growing. To the point that, as I go back to the magazine I was reading, that after 2 decades of rapidly increasing sales, Monsanto saw its first slap in the face here in the U.S. with a 15% loss in seed sales. 15%. That's a chunk. They're expecting that in 2016 them to lose an additional 20% in the market. So you're talking about, folks, because, you know, one person can make a difference. If you and your family absolutely, completely refuse to have that stuff in your diet, good idea to write the companies that you're no longer buying their products because it does contain GMO ingredients, and tell them, that's why I'm not going to use your product anymore. Now, a lot of you going, one person, like they're going to care. Well, you know, and they're not going to hear it through this channel because I don't have that many subscribers and viewers. But if people started doing that, you would go from one person to 100 people to 1,000 people to 10,000 people to 1 million people. And trust me, if an organization like Kraft Foods or something like this had 1 million people that they lost as customers, basically because they were using GMO products in their food, you would find Kraft looking for alternatives hot and heavy. And they would be advertising, hey, we took the GMOs out of our food. Here again, another loss of market share for the wonderful company they call Monsanto. And maybe if people would just start standing their ground on this issue, could make a difference. Could be saving somebody's life. Could be saving your own. So, you know, make a stand. I mean, I've seen people write letters and send emails over silly stuff to congressmen, you know, about what color to paint the front door on the State House. So you might want to go, maybe we need to take this seriously, and these foods that we scratch off our dinner menu, you know, let the company know why. And it can make a difference. And it shouldn't take more than a second to run up a quick email to some corporation saying, you know, XYZ products I used to use, I'm no longer going to use them because I found out they contain GMO products in the email. It can't matter. So, yeah, the good food movement is taking its toll on GMO production. Farmers have found that, you know, from the large granaries and so forth, they're getting paid a premium price if their product is a non-GMO product. Money talks, folks, you know, and especially in agriculture, because you're dealing on such tight margins, that if you can, and if you can see I keep looking outside, there's a little rabbit running back and forth across the yard. Not big enough to eat yet, so he gets to continue to survive. But you can make a difference, and you are making a difference. The folks who have pulled away from this stuff, it's beginning to affect their bottom line. And, you know, let Monsanto get back to making poisons that they have done for years and stay out of the food business. Sad fact is they're trying to monopolize your food, and you do not want a corporation like that in real control of your food. So as I've said in that video, you can't just cut off GMO. foods because the farmers are not prepared for it. And if the farmer's not prepared for it, you would end up with a catastrophic food crisis in this country. So, 15% this year and 20%, or 15% for last year and 20% this year. That's pretty substantial numbers, folks. The word's getting out, and if people would start standing their ground, and I know it's not as convenient to go to a farmer's market and get yourself fresh food and bring it home and cook it and go through all the preparation and blah, blah, blah. But in the end run, you're going to be healthier, and you're going to be helping remove that stuff out of our food source. So that was good news. And like I said, I got the magazine on Friday, and so I wanted to tell you about that. People are making a difference, and get in there and start swinging. You never know what you might accomplish. Okay, on with other things. We're probably going to be making some changes in the channel because I have really seen that there's a bigger need for just some educational videos. How do you live off the land? How do you survive? What steps do you need to take? Things of this nature. How do I do this? And because I've got some very cheap camera equipment, well, it's not even a camera, it's a little cell phone. When I've tried to do these things, that type of video, normally I end up with a bigger mess than anything. Yeah, excuse some of the noise. We're doing some work in the house, and it's fun. But anyway, so I'm gonna see about picking up some different camera equipment here in the next couple of months. We're probably going to monetize the site, and something I really didn't want to do because I wanted to keep this channel more of a PSA sort of thing as any kind of a moneymaker. But I can tell you this, that any revenue that this site would generate, this channel would generate, is going to be utilized for some better equipment. And I'm not talking about the Taj Mahal of video equipment either. I'm talking about something that I can just utilize out in the fields and bring you more hands-on, this is how you do it. Once that's paid for, I'll probably demonetize the site again, because I'm not looking for this to be a revenue stream into the farm. And that's really due to a while back, matter of fact, it was the 3rd of July. I had met with another farmer who he spent a lot of time out on the internet researching information, different things of that nature, and he enjoys YouTube. He doesn't really watch television, he watches YouTube. And when we were introduced, the guy said something to me that made me kind of step back. He asked me, are you a farmer? Are you a YouTuber? And I kind of got a raised eyebrow, like, well, what the heck are you talking about? And he says, I'm sure you've seen it out there. He said, there's so many of these, homestead things and so forth, that they're not really, they're talking about living off their land, but they're not. And he says, and a few of them are doing nothing more than what he called electronic panhandling. Send me money, buy this, do that, And I started thinking about it, and I went out and I really took a look at some of it, and yeah, there is a lot of that out there. There really is. But like I told him, I'm a farmer first, and I try to put out information to help other people. But, farming is, if it came down to making another video or taking care of my livestock, then there'd be no video made. I've got to take care of the livestock because my farm comes first. Be advised of that, okay? And that was one of the reasons I never wanted to monetize the site, because I didn't want to be lumped into that group. And that's kind of important to me that you all understand that I don't do this for fame, fortune, and money. Okay. One, very little fame, and as far as the money goes, yeah, it doesn't make me a dime. It costs me money. So understand, I'll probably be doing that, which, trust me, I doubt very much I see much revenue off of this channel. But it is what it is. If it could knock $10 off of the price of a camera, it's $10 that didn't have to come out of my pocket. And once I get the equipment and get it paid off, then I'll be demonetizing once again. So understand that if you start seeing ads pop up here in the next couple of months, understand what it's there for. And it's really trying to improve what you folks see. And that's important. That's what I'm here for. I was out sharpening a hoe the other day, and I spent probably more time trying to get the camera to set up in this little makeshift holder to film the thing, because of course it takes two hands to sharpen a hoe, and found out it just didn't work. The thing was a little off. The camera mounted slipped a little bit as I was doing it. I sharpened the hoe and found out that the video was absolutely worthless. So that's what I'm trying to fix. So bear with me on that one. As far as the homestead, the farm, it's doing real good. Little rabbit's just having a ball out there. Animals doing very well. Livestock's up to going, doing great. Chickens are growing like little weeds. The small chicks we have are no longer small chicks. Our breeding stock is starting to want to breed, and if they just start laying, I'll really be thrilled. Things of that nature. We are winding down the season, gardening, so forth. And, hopefully here in the next month or so, probably by the end of, we're still going to put in a turnip crop. I usually plant that around the 1st of August. And we'll be looking to get that in. But then that'll be pretty much it when that harvest comes in. I want to talk to you for just a minute about farming a little bit. The difference between standard farming and organic farming, and why organic food costs a little more, things of this nature. I had visited with a neighboring farm that was also raising some watermelon, and looked at his fields, and I said, I see you're apparently running herbicides on that. And he said, yeah. He said, I go out and do my pre-emergent, and then plant crop, and then do a post-emergent. And he said, no, I'll spray twice for insects, and blah 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 blah. And when you look at that, number one, it's all mechanized equipment that you're utilizing, so time is pretty quick. Your herbicides are not terribly expensive. They're expensive, but they're not awfully expensive. And insecticides and so forth. So that's one way to do it. Your production's up, because you probably put fertilizers down, all these things. And when I told him the way I was doing it, he said, wow, that's fairly expensive. Yeah, when you have to run a machinery out to lay plastic and to install irrigation pipe and things of this nature, and plant your melon plants and so forth, yeah, cost of it's quite a bit higher. But I'm not feeding my customers herbicides and insecticides. Okay? So, yeah, this guy might sell his melons for $3 a piece. I may have to get $4.50. See what I'm saying? Understand the difference between standard grown food and organic food. It's going to cost you a little more, and that is mainly because it costs the farmer more. It's not apples for apples, folks. Keep that in mind, okay, when you're talking about doing organic. Organic puts a big drain on your bank account. It really does. But at the end of the day, you get to stand back and go, I at least know that what I'm providing to my customers is good for them, not harmful to them in any way. So that's a good feeling. Makes it a little easier to sleep at night. Let's see what else we got going on around here. Going to get started now on the new chicken building. As we're starting to wind down a little bit, as soon as I get the gardens in and get all that returned, then I'm going to try to get in on that. I've been tapping away at getting this old barn down. I've really got to devote more time to it. But we've got some people coming in from out of town and stuff, and my wife has kind of tapped me on the shoulder about getting some projects inside the house done, so I've been working on that, which is not a bad deal because it is burst into flames kind of hot down here right now. So I get out and get my morning stuff taken care of and get the animals taken care of and get to come in the house and the AC and get some work done. So, yeah, it was good. Anyway, the one thing I want to do is kind of pat people on the back, because it's folks like you that are trying to eat better and live better that are actually making a dent in this GMO problem. Congratulations. You're actually making some ground. I'm sure that the executives at Monsanto are all standing there scratching their head going, how are we going to turn around this sales slump? Hopefully they never do. Hopefully they never do. And that's one way that we can wean ourselves off of this GMO product without creating some sort of national emergency, because you don't want that either. And right now, as I said in the other video, if we pulled the plug on GMOs tomorrow, people would go hungry because they couldn't afford to buy food. And we don't want to get to that point either. So keep doing what you're doing, folks, and maybe step it up a notch. Let these middlemen, these processed food manufacturers know, I love your macaroni and cheese, but it's got GMO products in it, and I'm not going to use it anymore until you get that garbage out of there. They'll change it. If enough letters hit the door, they'll change it. So that's kind of where I'm at with all that. It's going to be a little short one because I've really got some stuff to get done, and I've got one project I'm still going to have to do outside, although I'm going to try to push that off till late afternoon to where the sun's starting to go down a little bit, and try to get that hammered out then. But leave some comments. Let me know what you think about the change in the channel. I think it'll be for the best. I don't like monetizing it, but I also, because if it wasn't for YouTube and you guys, I'd have no use for video equipment. We just don't use it down here. This camera that I'm using was always used for if I had to do some work on a tractor or something. I always found it useful that if I'm taking off an injector system, before I take off the first bolt, I take a couple of pictures of what it's supposed to look like when it's put back together right. So that if I'm standing there with 2 extra screws in my hand, I can go look at those photos and know where those 2 screws go. That's been my primary use for camera equipment. So, but I think it might be useful information to you folks to see how do you correctly prune up a fruit tree? How do you treat a cow with hoof rot? How do you handle sick chickens and things of this nature? I think it'd be worthwhile information, and I'd like to be able to firsthand show that to you, because they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and while I've never been known to be short on words, it's good that you can see what's going on. So anyway, I'm going to cut this short because I need to get busy, and I hope this finds you just having a wonderful day. And when I can, I'm in situations where I can, I'm going to start putting up more how-tos for you, and that way you folks get a little better idea. I know a lot of you are new to homesteading or just wanting to get started in homesteading, And as they always say, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. My way may not be the greatest way or the most techie way to do things, but they work, and they work for generations, a lot of them. And so at least you have the information to where if you find out the high-techy ways of doing things didn't work, you'll go back and say, well, let's try some of this old school stuff and see how that does. And you'll have the information available to you to do that. So that's my goal. That's where I'm headed. Like I said, I'd sure like to hear your comments on the idea of monetizing the site. I've really kicked that one around, but I do give you my word, that whatever camera equipment or of sorts that we buy for doing the YouTube videos, as soon as it's paid off, we're going to stop the monetization of the site, because that's not the reason for it. But I figure if it can help offset the cost of some new camera equipment to where I can improve what you're seeing, then it's worthwhile. Okay, that's all from here. I hope you're having just an absolutely wonderful week. I will try to get this thing uploaded today, and so that it kind of backs up that GMO video. And take care. I hope everything's going real well for you, and you guys just have a wonderful week. This is Rick, Homestead. We'll talk to you later.